Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. This will be part 3 of me reading all the manga and manhwa on my Goodreads TBR. If you haven't watched the first 2 episodes, I'll link them above. So for this episode, I actually had to remove 2 of the mangas I was planning to read. So I replaced them with another 2 sets of manga. There's one disclaimer that I want to make. I actually forgot to write down in my notes whether or not the series or each series was continuing or completed. So I'll have them above like I always do. This reading round had a lot of good reads. I hope you enjoyed this video and let's get started. The first manga that I read is You're My Cutie. The story is about a girl named Madoka who loves to read shoujo manga. She especially loves to read shoujo manga where the main male lead is young and innocent and he falls in love with his senpai. Makoda works at her father's restaurant. One day her father hires a new employee. Kohai, the new employee, is younger than Makoto and is quite handsome. However, Kohai is a bit rude and standoffish. That is until Makoto saves him from very pushy fans that try to get into his personal space. I thought the story overall wasn't too bad. I liked how the story showed that even guys face harassment and unwanted attention from the opposite gender. I love how Makoto was respectful of Kohai's personal space and respectful that he didn't want to interact with too many girls. It was nice to see Kohai see Makoto in a different light after she helped him out. In the beginning, I was put off by Makoto's interest in younger guys, but then when I found out that Kohai is only a year younger than her, I was kind of a bit more relaxed because I thought that like her being older and then her liking younger guys, I think you know where it's gonna, yeah. So but thankfully, I mean, she's also in high school too, so it's not too weird. I know there's other mangas where the main male lead or the main female lead is a bit older or a bit younger and then their love interest is the opposite. So this age gap is not too bad. It's only a year apart, but there's others where it's like, no, don't do that. However, I wouldn't continue on with this. It didn't hook me on completely. I think it was just an interesting read and the plot was good, but not enough to keep me reading on. I rated this a 3 out of 5. Next up, I have A Tale's Tale. Main character Hiyama plays softball. She hates how she doesn't tan as easily as the other girls on her team. One day, she meets a boy named Utsumi who is a quiet and shy boy. Then she discovers that Utsumi has a secret, and that is that he has a tail. I had a good time reading this first volume. I think it has a great theme about accepting others for their differences and accepting yourself for who you are. Now, at some point, Utsumi's mother comes into the picture, and I do have a problem with how the mangaka explained her background. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I don't think that the way the mangaka displayed the mother's background was the best. Let me put it this way. The mangaka used a real-life region of the world as Utsumi's mother's background, and I just don't think that was the right move to make because there were some things that Utsumi's mom did that I think can easily be taken the wrong way from people of that certain background, if that makes sense. So that was one of the issues that I had with this first volume. I like how the story also covers bullying, taking risks, and just really accepting yourself. I could see myself continuing on reading this series just to see where the story goes. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, I have Double the Trouble, Twice as Nice. Our main character Yuri is facing one problem after another, from her job to her relationship. One night, she finds a child in the middle of the street. Her phone is dead, so she can't reach out to anyone and decides to take the boy to her place. And to her surprise, when she wakes up, she looks and where the child was, there is now a very handsome man next to her. So this first volume to me wasn't so bad, but it wasn't the greatest either. I did find that the main male lead changing from a child to a man was a bit interesting. But the one thing that did make me uncomfortable was the way the main male lead was flirtatious with the main character Yuri, especially because there definitely is an age gap. This one, I think she may be in her late 20s. I think she's 28 if I'm not wrong. I'll fix it if I'm wrong. But I know the main male lead is like 18. Yeah, I don't... Although I do find the whole switching from man to a child like a cool concept, I just don't think in this sort of context it's okay. I'm not sure if the main male lead is supposed to be her love interest or just like sort of a companion, a friend that she, builds up a friendship with. He does make some flirtatious comments, so it has me thinking, oh, like he likes her. But then there's other times where it's very platonic, so I'm not sure exactly where this is gonna go. Overall, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, I have Fall in Love, You False Angels. Our main character, Otogi, is known as a heartthrob angel. She's a first-year high schooler and the class president. She has the perfect image and everyone loves her. Toki is also beloved by his classmates, and Toki is loved for his intelligence, his character, and of course his good looks. When these two get together, everyone obsesses over them, of how beautiful they are, how poised they are, how intelligent they are, and so on. When Otogi and Toki are at the train station, there's a group of boys that start to harass Otogi. Otogi is trying her best to hold her image in front of Toki, even though she is quite literally being harassed, and it comes to a point where she decides, you know what, I just need to be my real self and risk it, and so she tells the boys to back off and is showing a completely different side of her in front of Toki. Now, Toki is surprised, but then he also gets in and shows his true self as well. Now, both characters have seen each other's true colors. This one I finished so quickly. I loved this one so much. I really did not expect to love volume 1 so much and have so much fun reading it. I love how the mangaka shows how everyone has a certain side to themselves that they only show to certain people that they trust, feel comfortable with. I found myself relating to Otogi and Toki when it comes to showing a certain image of yourself to the public, and when it's with your friends or with people that you really trust, you have a completely different side. Not so much like being fake, but it's like, you know, there's a certain sort of way you may carry yourself in front of other people, especially those that you don't know. And then there's a certain way that you carry yourself with your friends and family. It was so cute to see Otogi and Toki show more of their true selves to each other. I can't wait to continue on reading this series once this challenge is over. I can totally see this as an anime, either coming out, I don't know, maybe next year or the year after that. This just has to be animated. It is so good. I rated this one a 5 out of 5. Next up, I have Villains Are Destined to Die. Our MC has finally moved out of her abusive household. She is the illegitimate child to a very wealthy family, and once her mother dies, she gets taken in by her father and her 2 brothers. But the household is very abusive, and so she waits until she gets to college, has enough money saved up, and finally gets to leave that abusive household. At her college, the MC hears other girls rave about this reverse harem otome game. Now at first she's a bit hesitant and thinks that the game is nothing, but she decides to give it a try and becomes obsessed with it. So much so that she becomes trapped in the game. Now she is trapped in the game not as the MC but as the villainess, and her name is Penelope Eckhart. What makes matters worse is that she has to gain favorability amongst the male characters in the game in order to survive so that she doesn't die. I really felt bad for the MC from the beginning. She was mistreated by her brothers and just her family in her real life, and now she's trapped in a game where she's again being mistreated by her brothers and her family. And what makes matters worse is that she actually has to gain their favorability in order to survive. There are many times where I found myself rooting for the villainess. This story has so much tension, strategy, drama, and the plot keeps getting thicker with each chapter. This is another series that I want to continue on afterwards, and this is actually a manhwa. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. The last read on my list is Steel of the Celestial Shadows. Ryudo Nosuke is a struggling samurai. He is unable to pick up anything that contains metal or even touch anything that has metal, and that also includes a sword. Konosuke cannot wield a sword, nor can he touch any metal, and he is very poor, so he becomes very depressed and just lost in despair that he decides he wants to just take his life. However, an old man comes up to him and tells him that there's a very beautiful woman that wants to propose to him. I've seen this manga cover quite a few times around the internet, but I never knew what exactly it was about, so I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I enjoyed every aspect of this story, from the art, from the plot. Volume 1 goes more into Konosuke's past and the inner battles that he faces with being a samurai that can't wield a sword. I enjoyed seeing Konosuke shift in his character towards the end of the manga. There is a cliffhanger at the end, and this is another one that I have to continue on reading after this challenge, because the cliffhanger had me wanting to read volume 2, but I'm like, no, I need to keep on going with this challenge. But I for sure will find the time to finish this series, because first of all, the cover of the manga is absolutely beautiful and the art is beautiful. It is just so immersive, and I wanted to keep reading on. Like, I couldn't stop. I can for sure see this as an anime. For some reason, it kind of reminded me of Samurai, is it Champloo? I haven't watched that anime, but I have heard about it and I have seen images of it, so it kind of reminds me of that. And then in some way also kind of reminds me of Bleach, so I feel like it's a combination of those, like both of them, because there is a bit of like fantasy mixed into this. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. So those are all the reads for episode 3. I am so excited to continue on reading more. I really am having a good time just getting through all the volume 1s that I have, because it gives me an idea of which stories I would actually want to read and which ones I actually do not. I think so far right now I'm down to, is it 83 or maybe a little bit less? I'll put the exact number on the screen. Yeah, I'm getting through with them. Doing 6 reads definitely helps a lot, so I think at least by the end of this year I'll be done with the whole list. If you have read any of the mangas or manhwa that I mentioned today, please write your thoughts on them in the comment section below. I did see one comment recommending Fall in Love You False Angels, and it was so funny because in the back of my mind I'm like, oh, I have that on my list literally. Always feel free to put down your recommendations of any stories that you think are really great or that you think that other people will love to read. I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.